I'm Brittany Lewis with Forbes Breaking News. The House Judiciary Committee held an emergency markup Thursday on the Protecting Our Kids Act. Congresswoman Sheila Jackson Lee submitted the number of mass shooters under the age of 21 and the names of Americans who died in mass shootings. Earlier in the meeting, the Texas Democrat called the gun control legislation a, quote, combination of humanity, courage, decency, and action. Recent mass shootings across the country have renewed the gun control debate between Democrats and Republicans. Let's take a listen in for more.
Mr.
Chairman, I have
Put on your mic.
submissions into the record, which I'd like to list very quickly. The millions of Americans who are supporting the Protect Our Kids Act include, as unanimous consent, the National Education Association, the American Medical Association, the National Alliance of Specialized Instructional Support, the Organization of American Federation of Teachers, and the major city chiefs. They support the legislation and on the elements of the bills that are in the legislation. I ask unanimous consent to submit into the record.
Without objection. The question.
I'd like to submit into the record the number of AR-style rifles that were produced in the millions post the 2004 assault weapons expiration, and millions were produced at that time after the expiration. Ask unanimous consent. Ask unanimous consent of the number of mass shooters under 21 since 1982, 14% are of that age group. Ask unanimous consent. Ask unanimous consent for an excerpt of the Heller case indicating the lack of prohibition on limitations on gun use. Ask unanimous consent. And then I ask unanimous consent to show the list of children and others that died because of the lack of storage laws to protect children as young as 3 years old from being killed or injured. Ask unanimous consent.
Without objection.
And then finally, pages and pages of Americans who have died in mass shootings, including those who have died from Buffalo, from Atlanta, El Paso, and of course Uvalde. Ask unanimous consent.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
For what purpose does Mr. Roy seek recognition?